or catalysis applications. I'm very much grateful to Professor Felipe and his team members for inviting me as one of the resource persons. So today I will be sharing with you on the title that you read, Materials for Lithium-ion Battery and Beyond, Recent Developments. So after a few introductory slides, I will go into the details of lithium-ion battery, the materials that we have developed for lithium-ion battery, and related materials, in particular sodium-ion battery. I will restrict myself due to the time constraints, the recent development made in our laboratory. So before I begin, so let me introduce our department to the wide audiences. Though in this virtual conference, only limited participants, but it might be interesting to you to look at the activities that is going on in our department in Pondicherry University in India. We have 3 programs running currently in our department, and I happen to be heading this department maybe for 1 more year to go. We have a PG program. We call it as a PG postgraduate course in green energy technology. It's for about 2 years program or 4 semester program. And we have a sister program called Diploma, PG Diploma, span into 1 year. And we have a regular PhD or doctorate program in green energy technology. We have 6 dynamic faculties. All of them have got trained in abroad, stayed at least 5 years to 10 years in abroad in the excellent lab in Japan, Korea, UK, why not USA, etc. And currently, these are the focused areas our faculty members in the department do teaching as well as research. Solar thermal energy technology, solar photovoltaic technology, bioenergy technology, energy materials, and myself work on energy conversion and storage technologies. So exclusively working on batteries, supercapacitor, as the madam introduced. So supercapacitor, fuel cells, batteries are my expertises. So those who could not attend or did not attend yesterday, for the benefit of them, let me introduce the work that is going on in our department in my lab. We work 4 important areas of energy conversion, storage, and catalysis. So exclusively, we make cathode materials and anode materials for lithium-ion battery, supercapacitor, fuel cells, and our group also engages in solid-state gas sensors. So my today's lecture for about 15 minutes or so will be focused mostly on the anode materials for lithium-ion battery and sodium-ion battery. This International Energy Agency has come up with a policy or brought out a statistics. You can see that by 2050, there is going to be huge electric vehicles on the road compared to the conventional vehicles. Electric vehicles which are powered by maybe hydrogen fuel, electricity directly using batteries, or plug-in hybrid or hybrid electric vehicles. It's already started. Even I see in Pondicherry, in my own city, few electric vehicles, at least a countable number of electric vehicles exclusively powered by the batteries. But there is a prediction by IEA that by 2050, most of the vehicles on the road is going to be the non-conventional, that is exclusively powered by fuel cell, batteries, and plug-in hybrid vehicles. And the conventional gasoline-based vehicles are going to be very, very less, maybe less than 10% or about 10% or so. So it means that future electric vehicles will essentially be equipped with the batteries predominantly. And the most suitable battery is going to be the lithium-ion battery. And we all know that current lithium-ion battery uses limited theoretical capacity, graphite as an anode, and lithium cobalt oxide or doped lithium cobalt oxide, what we call it as the NMC, as a cathode. the capacity or the energy density that you can get from the current lithium-ion battery is enough to power your mobile phone or your laptop or your camcorder. But when it comes for applying to the electric vehicles, we require more than what is available with the current lithium-ion battery in terms of capacity and the energy density. So the energy density of the current lithium-ion battery need to be uplifted or increased to the demand, which is going to be possible only if we replace limited theoretical capacity based graphite into oxide or metal based anodes, which are theoretically have at least double or triple, sometimes 10 times higher theoretical capacity compared to the graphite anode. So it means that the future lithium-ion battery, which are more suitable for lithium electric vehicle options or vehicular applications, will be using metal or metal oxide based alternate anodes, which have got high theoretical capacity from 2-fold to 10 times than that of the graphite. So very specifically, the anodes will be based on metals, metal oxides, etc. We have two technologies coming up in this regard, whether it is a metal or metal oxide. It's going to be based on alloying technology or conversion-reconversion technology. The technology or the mechanism that is currently implemented in current lithium-ion battery is based on the intercalation chemistry, as we all know. Because the lithium interlayer, the graphite interlayer facilitates accommodation of the lithium into their spaces back and forth. It's quite okay for smaller applications, maybe for your smartphone or laptop or maybe small range vehicles. But when we want to adopt larger applications, we need to go for either alloying technology, conversion technology. We have several options: bismuth, tellurium, lead, strontium, gallium, tin, and the very attractive is tin and silicon. You can see that their theoretical capacity is as high as 3,500 or close to 4,000 mAh per gram as a theoretical capacity. And its volumetric capacity is very high, 10 times, 10,000 mAh per ml, which is almost closer to the, if you look at the energy density, it is almost closer to that of the gasoline per liter. So it's going to be the metal or metal oxide based lithium-ion battery as an anode. So in this regard, generation of the materials, the high performing anode materials is going to be a very crucial to come up with a high energy density or a higher power lithium-ion batteries. So in this regard, so we need to develop metal oxides. We are very familiar with these metal complexes. Coordination chemistry, we all know. If you are inorganic chemist, you must be very familiar with these terminologies: metal complexes or coordination chemistry. And believe it or not, these coordination complexes or metal complexes can be a precursor molecule for generation of non-structured materials. We have several merits or advantages. You can manipulate the topography or morphology. It means that a desired size, shape, distribution can be made, and you can also functionalize the surfaces, and they can very much be implemented as an anode for battery application, catalysis, or sensors. So what is done is simply you need to make a metal complex. For that, you need to have a metal ion containing carbonious ligand. There is a reason for selecting carbonious ligand. The ligand containing more carbon atoms or carbon moiety. So you get a metal complex. This metal complex can be decomposed into metals and metal oxides along with the carbon matrix. Then this nanocomposite or resultant composite can be utilized as an electrode material for battery applications. This is the graphical view of the materials that I am going to share with you. So we make metal complexes using these different ligands. You can see that less carbon atom, more carbon atom, much more carbon atom, and you can tune the number of carbon atoms present. And we have also changed the metals, and each are having their own theoretical high capacity and their performances. The first system is cobalt oxide. This can be very much synthesized by using silane as a ligand. This is the silane ligand. By means of condensation of salicyl aldehyde and ethylene diamine, you can get this very much silane ligand. That is complexed with the cobalt acetate. You get a very stable metal complex, that is cobalt silane complex. Then what to do? You get that solid powder and fire it, pyrolyze it, decompose it at inert condition at 800 degree, and you get directly metal oxide embedded on the carbon matrix. For comparison, we have also done pristine ligand decomposed at the similar condition. You get only carbon here. In this case, cobalt and cobalt oxide. And then you characterize them, whether it is having a cobalt or cobalt oxide and a carbon. And you can see that from the X-ray diffraction pattern, we have a confirmation for the presence of cobalt oxide, and carbon. And it can be very much counterbalanced or substantiated using Raman spectroscopy and infrared spectroscopy, where the presence of carbon is very much understood or can be confirmed. You can note that the ID by IG ratio, that's the intensity ratios of D band to the G band, is close to 1. It is mostly graphenic carbon that is present. The formation of cobalt oxide on the carbon matrix has been also characterized using this term observation. What you can see is we have a metal oxide on the carbon matrix. So these carbon matrix are expected to provide conductive pathway by decreasing the resistance, the movement, and also buffer for change of volume. After characterizing, so we have fabricated the battery. You can see that there is a set of procedure to fabricate the lithium-ion batteries, and this is the finished cell, what you see. And we have to go through the several setups or several stages to bring it to the near commercial level prototype lithium-ion batteries. Thanks to my funding agency, our funding agency, through their support, we could establish these such facilities. And this is the finished lithium-ion battery. What is the performance? The performances you can understand using these 3 parameters. You run the cyclic voltammogram, appearance of the redox peaks confirms that lithium is reacting with the cobalt oxide by this way. Thereby, cobalt oxide is converted into cobalt and back and forth. Then you quantify how much lithium it can store, or the capacity it can store, or energy density. If you multiply with the capacity and voltage, you can see that in your first cycle, you can get as high as 2000 plus 2000 milliampere hour per gram capacity, which stabilizes at 1000 degree. And very characteristic of a battery is to operate at a different C rate. And you can see that the present material can be operated at a different C rate. A capacity as high as 1000 mAh can be obtained using cobalt oxide carbon as a anode material. Whereas the pristine carbon generated using the ligand shows very limited, very low. So it means the carbon, the material consisting of cobalt and cobalt oxide, it can be a potential anode material where we could get 1000 mAh as a capacity. Then I move on to tin sulfide. This also can be very much synthesized by using a complexing method. You take a same silane ligand. Now instead of cobalt, you take a tin salt and fire it. Finally, 700-800 degree, you get tin sulfide as embedded on the carbon matrix. Then you confirm it by using X-ray diffraction, infrared spectroscopy, and how much carbon content is present by using this thermal analysis. You get a very fascinating morphology, like a leaf or like a flower. A typical like a leaf you get by post-treatment by using hydrothermal technologies or hydrothermal treatment. My student calls this morphology as a snowball and rose garden. You could decorate it, okay, using a suitable software. You could decorate it. But what is important is you get a flower-like or leaf-like morphology. And it so happened that in 2019, this morphology was selected by Nanoartography, which is maintained an international competitor in Drexel University. I'm very much grateful to them. What is the half-cell performances? So the half-cell performance is use this tin sulfide as an anode and lithium as a counter electrode and do the cyclic voltammeter, which confirms the reaction, conversion reaction taking place with the reaction with the lithium. And this is the discharge capacity. You can get it as high as 500 to 1000 half-cell capacity. What is important is the full cell capacity. Since also the tin sulfide could work much better as an alternative anode for lithium-ion battery, we went for the full cell. This is a typical commercial level lithium-ion battery consisting of not graphite as an anode, tin sulfide as an anode, and the conventional lithium cobalt oxide as a cathode, and lithium hexapyrophosphate as a electrolyte. And OCV is non-zero for 200 hours, and you can get a very nearly similar to what we get for the commercial lithium-ion battery flat-tube potentials. And what is important is the discharge capacity or the capacity. And the capacity has been obtained at a different C rate. And you can see that you get a full cell capacity at the 0.2 C rate as high as 400 mAh or 500 mAh, which is at least double compared to that of the conventional lithium-ion battery-based capacity. And you can see that even at a very high C rate of about 20 or 10 C rate, the capacity is still higher than 100 mAh, which is very much important for practical applications. And thinking the potential of these electrodes, so we have protected using IPR methods. And the same battery, this is the prototype battery we have made, and it can be powered to an LED bulb, and in single charge, more than 6 hour head close. So in the same way, why not phosphates also can be explored for as alternative material, anode material. So then in the similar method, we have also generated cobalt phosphide embedded in the carbon matrix by using the same carbon silane ligand. Now, along with the carbon, we have also used phosphorus, red phosphorus. On firing at 700 degree, you get cobalt phosphide, and which can be very much understood or characterized using X-ray diffraction, infrared spectroscopy, etc. And what is important is how much it can hold the lithium ion. And you can see that you get a capacitance as high as 400 mAh at the 0.2 C rate. And it is possible to operate this battery at a different C rate. So the thing is that even cobalt oxide, cobalt phosphate, similar to cobalt oxide, can undergo alloying reaction with the lithium. And this is the full cell performances. And you can get the full cell capacity as high as 100 mAh, similar to that of graphite you can get even with the cobalt phosphide as an alternative anode. So we have also explored cobalt phosphide as an alternative anode for sodium-ion battery. You know that very recently, similar to lithium-ion batteries, sodium-ion batteries are also very much researched because globally also the resources of lithium is very scarcity, whereas sodium availability or abundance is very large. Especially in our regions, sea is surrounded by all the 3 sides of our nations. All the seawater contains so much of sodium. Even at the seashore, we have plenty of sodium. So it is good to develop a sodium-ion battery similar to that of the lithium-ion battery, because by 2030, most of the nations has taken the policy to electrify, and we require huge battery. So lithium battery alone may not be possible. We have to develop a sister battery, maybe sodium-ion battery. And how much sodium ion it can be stored using this cobalt phosphide, and you can see that. So at a 0.2 C rate, as high as 250 milliampere hour per gram this capacity can be stored. And you can see that cobalt phosphide can also be used as a sodium ion storage or sodium ion battery applications. And quite some time, this zinc oxide is thought as a very poor electrochemistry. And as we all know that it doesn't get oxidized or reduced, poor electrochemistry, etc. And we tried to make a complex of zinc using the same silane ligand. And following the similar procedure, by firing at 700 degree in argon atmosphere, we could get the zinc oxide. And it has been very much understood or characterized using X-ray diffraction, Raman IR spectroscopy, then morphological characterization using SEM and TEM. Then you have the first off-cell performances. So you can see that, so the cell consisting of zinc oxide can be able to store lithium ion. What is the capacity? As high as 500 mAh. Amazing. Zinc oxide is supposed to be very poor electrochemistry, but you can see that it reacts with the lithium and gets converted into zinc and back and forth. Alloying de-alloying mechanism, what we call, and Coulombic efficiency in the examined cycle life is very high. So since it showed 500 mAh as the discharge capacity, why not we go for the full cell performance? So this is the full cell lithium battery, zinc oxide versus lithium cobalt oxide. And you can see that the capacity is as high as 100 mAh, and we have tested for long cycle at 200 cycles, highly stable. It means that zinc oxide can be really a potential alternative anode material for lithium-ion battery. And this is the prototype device that you see, a coin cell, and it can be powered for LED bulb. And the same zinc oxide also has been examined as an electrode material for sodium-ion battery. And though theoretically also the sodium-ion capacitance is much less compared to lithium-ion battery, and zinc oxide can also be used as an alternative anode for lithium-ion battery. Maybe 1 minute I will take, then I will stop, I think. So in the same way, we have also made nickel oxide on the carbon matrix as an alternative anode. And this is the off-cell performance, and this is the full cell performance. So nickel oxide versus lithium cobalt oxide can be used as an alternative anode, and the discharge capacity is as high as 100 mAh. So it was recently covered as a cover feature in the New Journal of Chemistry. To summarize that, I think I'm quite within the time. So to summarize that, we have explored carbon containing silane ligand as a silane as a ligand to make metal complexes. And by decomposition of these metal complexes, we got these metal oxide embedded on the carbon matrix. And you can see that their capacities are much higher. And especially look at the full cell capacity. And in the case of tin and tin sulfide, as 400 mAh is the full cell capacity. What we did was we changed the composition, morphology, conductivity, redox property. By doing so, you get much better electrolyte interaction that facilitate the redox reaction, either conversion, reconversion reaction, and it enables the storage of lithium or sodium. So I have one prototype device to demonstrate to you. I think I must have some video. Yeah, so you can see that, say, a prototype device powering. In single charge, more than 5 hours, it blows. So I would like to acknowledge the funding agency, my research group, for their hard work. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Elumalai. Now it's time for questions. Ahora pasamos a las preguntas. Adelante, por favor, ¿tienen preguntas